What's going on, guys? It's On My X. It's episode 45. We got Hunter. We got Goofy. We got a lot to talk about. We had the Sentinels tournament this past weekend. We got a very special guest. He performed very well in that tournament. Just a little hint for you guys, but we'll start it off. Basil, I know what you did throughout most of your weekend, but how was it? How was getting back in the casting booth? Tell me about it for a second.
Yeah, obviously this weekend we had the Sentinels $30,000 Halo 5 tournament, and all of us were casting it, so it was really cool. The On My X crew was representing for the Halo community.
Squad.
Yeah, of course, we had a bunch of amazing talent on there with us in production and everyone involved. Big shout out to the whole team, but it was awesome. I love. I was talking to our special guests, before we started rolling the camera, and just talking about the transition a little bit to commentating, and still having that competitive itch whenever I watch these tournaments and see people I used to team with or people I used to play against, still playing at such a high level. Can't help but, kind of light that fire a little bit. But obviously, a lot went into my decision of wanting to start doing this and pursuing this avenue. So it was awesome getting back into commentating the tournament, and I'm excited to talk about it now.
Yeah, I hear you on the competitive fire, but it's always there's a line that's drawn for me. It's like when I watch people that I'm like, I used to be better than this. I think I'm like, yeah, I want to get back in there. And then I've watched players like Renegade or Frosty. I'm like, you know what, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I like what I'm doing now a little bit more, that I don't have to play against those guys. JJX back in the booth. I felt like it's been a minute since you got to cast one of these things. So it was good to have you there. How was your weekend?
Dude, my weekend was actually, if I'm being honest, it was super mixed. The casting and the show and the Sentinels tournament was amazing. That was the highlight of my weekend by far. Such sick matches, and I'm super happy that it went so well because I don't know if you know this, but the Clippers won Game 7, so that would have completely ruined my entire weekend and week if they would have won Game 7 and the tournament wasn't amazing. So thankfully the tournament counterbalanced the pain that I was feeling watching the Clippers advance to the next round. I'm still just salty, man. I have a hard time even turning basketball on right now. I'm still, pain. But amazing weekend, dude. Having the On My X crew back together for the tournament, I mean, that was fun, dude. That was special. I got to cast with Basil, which has kind of been a duo of mine for a little while. Sadly, didn't get to cast with US, but I also got to cast with Tim Active. Shout out to him. I mean, he's a great up-and-coming casting talent and lots of passion, and was able to just learn. I mean, the whole time I was there, I was like, I'm going to be a sponge. I don't care how long or short people have been involved in the scene. I want to get advice everywhere I can. And so everyone on the production crew was so helpful, so kind, so just encouraging. Absolute blast of a weekend, man. So yeah, it felt good to be back. But Wes, I want to ask you, man. I mean, you're kind of our veteran caster now at this point. Was it just another weekend for you, or how did it all go?
Nah, it feels so strange to be called the veteran caster. It's like you blink and all of a sudden you're the oldest guy around. Kind of like when you're playing, to a sense. It's like your career starts and then all of a sudden you're teaming with 15-year-old World 2s, changing diapers in between series and figuring stuff out. But in all honesty, man, it'll never get old. It's always my adrenaline gets going, man. Every time there's a big tournament and there's good competition, like to Faisal's point, you feel that competition. You kind of understand the atmosphere that these players are in. A lot of money on the line, a lot of pride on the line. And from a casting perspective, it's always like a new opportunity and a new goal, a new mission to achieve. So had a great weekend. Basil and I, we got to cast the finals. That was not the closest finals, but it was a great opportunity for a team that we didn't think was going to be there to really go on that losers bracket run throughout the entire tournament and then get a shot at Cloud9, the monsters that they are, the Halo 5 gods that those guys have become. And overall, it was a pleasure, man. Like getting to cast with Active, to your point, really fun, and also seeing other talent on the come up and get out an opportunity to cast a tournament of that caliber for the first time. That was a very cool experience to be a part of and be a part of that energy that those guys bring. Like Saturday morning, I'm just waking up off probably like 4 hours of sleep, and I got Why Not, who's just stoked to be there. Like you could have said, why not? We can put you right now on a roller coaster in Disney World, or we'll let you cast the first series of this tournament. And why not every day of the week we'll cast this series of the tournament? The energy's there, man. The passion from And that whole crew was there, Louis V and everybody, the amount of hard work and whatnot that they put on for that production. It was good to be a part of it. It felt like a community you want to be a part of, and just happy to be a piece.
Louis just doing us proud, man. I mean, golly, like when it comes to someone just throwing the Halo scene on his back, I mean, the production and level of, stuff that he's been doing with the Money Tuesdays and now landing the Sentinels gig as well. You can't say enough good things about the guy. I mean, he's the unsung hero, right? You never really hear much about producers, but behind the scenes, the amount of things that him and his team, I mean, they had a legit squad going. They had like statisticians going, keeping us like updated on stats. They had like a whole admin thing, keeping the tournament running smoothly on top of his production team. I mean, an extremely well organized, well run event from the production side. And I can't give Lou enough props for that. And just thanks for including me, like he reached out and I was stoked, man. It was an awesome opportunity to get to work with him. But with that being said, I want us to jump into that tournament, right into it, right? No surprise in who necessarily won it, but Faisal, I'm going to let you take it away on the real story of this tournament.
Yeah, so the special guest for today's episode was a part of one of the, in recent memory, greatest runs from a dark horse team that I can remember. Of course, I'm talking about the man, commonly Hammy. He is on the show with us today. Hammy, there he is. How you doing, man? Congratulations on surprising the world. Maybe not yourself because you're a champion and you're always going for first place, but congrats for making that insane run and getting second place. With a substitute and Ryan Noob, someone we've obviously teamed with before together. But I want to give you the floor, man, for a quick minute to break down the tournament and how you're feeling after such a crazy run.
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. This is something I've been wanting to do for a few months now, and now kind of got the perfect chance to get on the show and have something relevant to talk about. Yeah, it was a crazy tournament. In terms of how we did, second place, as you said, it's kind of sucks to get all the way to the finals and kind of fall flat, but we had to beat some really good teams to get there, and we honestly surprised ourselves by how good we were playing. I think we all knew what we had in us, so it was very rewarding to finally be able to stick it out with these guys that I've been playing with and get to the finals while beating some really good teams to get there.
Definitely. Hammy, we haven't really caught up in a while, obviously. Last I can really remember we were talking all the time was when we were teaming probably in Halo 3 for the Pro Series or, at some point. So I always wanted to ask you, especially now that you've made such a crazy run in a recent tournament, how did you, when you switched over to Halo 5 and you started playing that full time again and kind of putting all your efforts into Halo 5 rather than a Halo 3, how did you start teaming with SuperCC and the group that you ended up with? And obviously, I want to ask you a little bit more about the Ryan Noob factor later on. But for now, how did you start teaming with the guys you're playing with?
So when I went back to Halo 5, there had already been, certain cliques that had been teaming already. So like Druk, Soul Snipe, Tallike, they were a trio that, I teamed with Druk and Soul Snipe for the last Halo 5 LAN tournament. So when I came back, they had different teammates. So and they had been teaming with SuperCC and Envor before that. I ended up teaming with Straight Sick, and we tried picking up two AM players at the time because there wasn't really any pro players left at that moment because everyone had their own teams. So yeah, me and Corey ended up playing through AM. We played with people like Vetra, Scariotic. It didn't really work out, and then luckily for us, SuperCC got dropped from that Druk team. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us because, they were playing really well. They were getting top 2 in the esports arena tournaments. So we picked up SuperCC, and then we were trying to find a fourth for a while. And unfortunately for Corey, we kind of had to part ways. We were trying to look for someone more cracked at the game. And that's kind of how we ended up playing with Envor. So it was me, SuperCC, Envor, and Skeptify, because Envor and Skeptify were teaming at the time. And I already knew that, there was a lot of raw skill and talent on the team in terms of knowing how to win, that was something we had to work towards because it wasn't completely apparent that these guys knew how to win, but they definitely had the skill to win. So in terms of that, there was definitely a lot of work to be done, but I knew it was kind of a project, and it was honestly the best option I had. So just had to make it work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Envor and Super CC obviously all you guys were playing amazing, and it was a pleasure to watch and commentate over. Now, of course, before I know I'm hogging all the questions to you, and Wes and Justin are just like, come on. But one more question. Ryan Noob, I have to ask before I pass the mic. Obviously, he's someone I've loved teaming with over the course of my career in Halo, and someone I kind of came up with. And this last weekend, he was a last-minute addition to y'all's team and substitute player. And your team ended up having your best placement, as a squad together. And not to take anything away from anyone on your actual roster, but he was also such a great addition to y'all's team, and I think really gave you the boost in terms of having another veteran next to you to kind of lead the troops. I want to hear what your thoughts were about playing with Ryan Noob again, and how do you think he performed in the tournament?
So Ryan had hit me up, I guess, when the tournament got announced. I was planning on playing with Arctic and Sab for that tournament. So what happened was Skeptify had been asked to team by Boo Boo and Falcated. So Skeptify left our team to play with them, and he didn't really tell us he left. We just kind of had to figure it out on our own.
One of those.
Bad decision.
So in terms of that, I was like, okay, Arctic and Sab have been kind of wanting to team with me for, a little bit, but it just wasn't the time. So I was thinking, okay, maybe it's time I, try out Halo 5 with these guys. But we couldn't really find a fourth. The fourth was supposed to be Super CC, but then Sab got asked by Boo Boo and Fal to go team with them. So they dropped Skeptify for Sab. So
they're just poaching your teammates one by one by one, basically.
Yeah, that's happened a lot with that group of people. But I guess I was like, okay, I've been teaming with Super CC Envor for like a long time. We have the chemistry, and Ryan Noob had hit me up prior, so I'm like, okay, we should just try this out. Because I was thinking, Ryan Noob, of course, like knows how to win. He's a veteran, as you said, and I don't really need to like go into like what Ryan brings to the table. But he's just someone that knows how to win.
Definitely.
He might not have been playing Halo 5 that much as some of our other options had been, but it was a gamble because I guess it could have just like backfired because everyone that had been playing were like really good at that point. But it's something about it was telling me that you guys should, or like I should definitely play with Ryan. It was kind of like a gut feeling to pick him up.
For sure. That's them. Okay, I want to pass it over to Justin, but I'm sure that felt awesome, kind of having people poach your teammates and so much trials, and there's like a lot of turmoil on your path to success, and those are, in my opinion, the sweetest victories whenever all the people that were doubting you or kind of screwing you over, you end up beating them and placing better than them in the end. It's one of the best things in competition. But Justin, go ahead.
I mean, it probably helps too that Ryan had been consistently being a terror to us in the MCC side of things. So we know he's a great player. Hammy, I love the fact that you brought up the difference between being a great player and knowing how to win, because it's such a clear distinction, right? Like you can have all the talent in the world, but knowing how to win is something that is that's when you finally take it to the next level, right? That's when things finally click. Well, first, Hammy, thank you for coming on, man. Appreciate having you here. You and I have been grinding on the Halo 3 side, and seeing you guys perform and show out in this last tournament, it's like one of those things where I kind of was waiting every single week that you guys would have these pro series. Like, I know this is gonna be the one. This is gonna be the one. And to see you guys kind of deliver in a big way on the last one, definitely. I was texting you the whole time. I was like, let's go. Like, so awesome. But I want to take things away from Halo just a little bit, because I am the fun guy here on My X. And I got to ask you the fun guy question, obviously. So my question for commonly, don't roll your eyes, Faisal. This is going to be awesome. He's going to ask a great answer.
You're putting our audience to sleep right now.
Well, my question for you, Hammy, I ask everyone that comes on board, what's your most funny or outrageous, memorable behind-the-scenes LAN story that you can share with us?
And if it involves me, keep your mouth shut.
Hammy's a veteran. He's been to so many tournaments.
That's what I'm
he's-
saying.
he's a smart guy too.
There may have been a time where I don't know Hammy was there and Hammy was there. And Hammy, I have a job in the industry now. I need you to leave me out of it.
Yeah, Hammy's trying to censor it in his mind. He's like, can I tell that one? Can I tell that one? Go ahead, bro.
Nothing comes to mind, to be completely honest with you.
That's good.
Hammy's all business.
Good
I
answer.
I told you he's a smart guy. I said this.
I kind of go to tournaments, and I mean, I'm not going there to, have fun in that sense. I'm going to
Business.
play, take it serious. Not to say that I'm not like trying to relax, after we're done playing or whatever, but I can't really remember anything super crazy that's like happened to the point where it like pops out in my mind.
I love that about you. I love that you're business and you take it extremely serious. So I did have a backup question ready just in case. And that is, you won an X Games gold medal. Just briefly walk us through what that felt like, man, what that experience in that moment was like.
So when we actually got the last kill, I like got up and it felt like I got like punched in the stomach. Like I lost my
You might
breath.
have by Roy at the time.
It's like when you like go down like an amusement park ride where you go down like a long drop and you feel like your stomach kind of, I don't know, I don't really know how to describe that feeling. It just felt like someone knocked the air out of me. So that's kind of the feeling that I want in terms of winning again. And it's like an indescribable feeling. It's something that I want to experience again. And I'm obviously very blessed to have been a part of that the EG X Games gold medal run, and to be part of those legendary players who are probably like top 5, if not top 10 players of all time in Halo history. So it was a surreal experience to be a part of.
Yeah, an amazing moment, an amazing team. There were so many memes about a lethal loss regret, game 5 and all the, you were like the chosen one at the moment, bringing EG to the top. And I mean, you've been so close now at this point, getting second with the Denial roster as well. It's only a matter of time before you can get over that hump again with your work ethic, your attitude, and the wisdom that you have. I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to Wes. Let him ask you some stuff.
Yeah, let's stop talking about X Games because although I wasn't a player, I was still pretty salty about my guys falling short. But I mean, rightfully so. You guys played out of your minds that event.
Wes really wanted to put that gold chain on Sunday night. Wes wanted to put that medal on.
I'll tell you what, I would have.
He went up to Hammy afterwards, like, "Yo, Hammy, can I take a picture with that real quick?"
Hey, one for the snap, real quick. All right. No, on a serious note, couple things come to mind when I think of you as a player. Commonly, when you're on, dude, it's fun to watch. It really is. Like when your shot is on and everything, like your timings and things are going well, you have this thing about you where you take over games efficiently. It's not like watching someone like Roy go off or snipe down, or like the typical people that like they get a bunch of kills when they're popping off. And yeah, there's a lot of individual skill there. It's like there's a lot being done when Commonly's on fire. I feel like we need to figure out a way to consistently be able to get to that. What are you doing as a player? Like, what have you learned throughout your time so far with dealing with some of those inconsistencies to become more consistent and bring that level to where if you're able to produce that on a game-to-game, series-to-series basis, you're going to have a lot of success?
I guess I've tried to eliminate bad habits, because I really think Halo is a mind game, and if you're not at your best mentally, then it can affect you in ways that you don't even yourself understand. So in terms of that, I know I definitely have the skill and the smartness and the ice to actually, be winning tournaments. It's just, as you said, it's always been more of a consistency thing. So I've just tried to eliminate some of the bad habits I had picked up, since becoming a pro and, starting to make some money.
Yeah.
As like an 18, 19-year-old kid, you just get like a pretty large influx of cash. You don't really know like what to do with it. And then you have,
You
people
start
around
spending it.
Yeah, you start spending
absolutely.
it, you have people around you doing certain things, and then you start to, partake in it.
Yeah.
And it's like hard to kind of get out of that cycle. But if you really want it, then, and I really do want it in terms of not even Halo, but just like real life in general, because
Yeah.
it's all this mental. So if you can, or if I can get over that, which I've been, you know, thankfully been doing pretty well on that, then I think I'll be able to start showing a more consistent side of me and my gameplay.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, right? That was something that I feel like I always struggled with throughout my career, was just finding that level of consistency, because I felt like, similar to you, when I'm on, like, my team's gonna win. And you were on this past weekend and your team didn't win, but I mean it took the best team we've seen in Halo 5 in a long time to try and stop you guys, right? So continue kind of pushing for that, because that end goal of consistency will only bring you benefits. I wanna
Sorry,
talk
Wes.
about,
You just like you keep moving your camera in different ways. It's really funny. So like now you moved over to the left. A second ago you like tapped it and it like fell down and it got tilted. Anyways, sorry. You're cracking me up over here. I love it. Anyways, go ahead, Wes.
I wanna see what it's like. All right, you guys get a grip, like, please.
I'm laughing at JJX.
This is a professional interview, and you guys are just.
Hey, this is all my
you
ex,
want to talk
right?
about ice?
I'm about to open this up to the whole table.
The
right?
two guys
We're
up
gonna
top.
give this interview.
The two guys up top, we got ice. Two guys down
Oh my
below.
God.
All right, let's not start taking personal shots. All right, it's late.
He
I have
has
to go to
one
sleep. I don't
no
want to go to
scope
sleep
on
sad.
SK because he pushed Street for some reason. All of a sudden, he's got ice.
That's ice.
That's one of the iciest moments ever, bro. Come on.
If you watch the rebroadcast of that, and Faisal's eyes were closed.
Please learn ice, dude. Move on.
Anyways, back to the real questions. On Board SuperC, these guys are two of the players I've been watching as I cast the esports arena tournaments all the time, probably over the past year. I've seen these guys compete 30 times plus in a tournament style atmosphere. These are two of the names that feel like they stick out every single weekend as like individual performances go. What's the ceiling for these two guys? Like, and if you want to separate them and say like Envoy, I don't know about him, but SuperC, like you can do that. But like for me, those are two of my like up and coming players to kind of watch as we go into Infinite, because like those are the names that I've been seeing pop up nonstop over the past year.
I think the ceiling is first place for both of them. I think they both have different strengths as players and different weaknesses that go along with it. But I think they're both on the same skill level, as in they both know like what their strengths are and they both play to their strengths. And as you said, they have been just competing in all these tournaments. They've been playing against the best competition. They're getting better still. And it'll be interesting to see how well they adapt to the next Halo game, because, when you're level 152 in Halo 5 and still have like hundreds of more hours on top of that, you get really comfortable on that game. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Infinite looks and how they adapt to Infinite. But I think in terms of knowing how to win in general of Halo, I think they're really starting to understand what it takes.
Yeah. All right. So last question from me. You guys just went on an incredible run. You beat some great teams. You reverse swept a team like Sentinels. Yeah, TJ was in the form that he was in. You beat a good MV roster with Spartan the Dog. What are you
KCP.
thinking? What are you thinking right now as far as like what your Infinite team's going to look like? I don't know if you officially have one or not. I know Ryan Noob and Rain are probably going to have to end up together, which means that although this was a fantastic run and a great opportunity for you guys to showcase that this can be a good team together, I feel like there's a lot of chess pieces and only 4 seats at the table. What are you feeling team-wise for right now? And if you can't tell me, then I respect it, but feel a little upset too.
I mean, I guess we all know that there's a few set teams already. You have C9, you have Envy, you have Sentinels, you essentially have KCP, you have that Ryan Noob team, him, Rain, King Nick. And
Is King Nick still on that
Spartan.
team?
King Nick is
Spartan.
definitely still on the team, but rumors
Rumors about
I don't
Sparty
know.
here. Yeah,
Yes.
I haven't heard King Nick's name in months.
He's like King Nick's gonna be
yeah.
really
He's been
good.
playing
in Infinite.
hardcore twos
I'm
in
not
Halo
saying
3.
he's not. I'm just saying I hadn't seen the kid play in.
I think he
long time.
won some. He won something recently. I saw him tweet it randomly.
He's still playing. He's lurking. I match him in the Halo 3 2s playlist like every day. So he's still
Okay.
around. Yeah.
I believe
He's just doing something. Go ahead, Hemi.
So in terms of teammates, it's pretty much it's like musical chairs. It's like those guys, and it's like everyone else.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you who I'm teaming with because I myself don't know yet.
Okay.
But there's still some things, to think about, some people to reach out to, and I guess I want to compete in Infinite. I know I can still win. It also depends on what's going on in my personal life. There's some things I would love to share at this moment, but I can't yet, or
Okay.
I don't feel comfortable sharing yet. But it's like adult stuff, as in, it's like it might be time to like move on and start like real life in quotes, as in just moving on from the gaming world and trying to do something else. But I still haven't decided on like what's gonna happen yet. All I know is that I know I still have the skill to win. So if it works out for me, then I'll be going at it full force for Infinite.
I think if we learned anything this past weekend is you definitely have the skill to still compete at the highest level. Sometimes life calls, right? I think it's happened to me during my time. I'm sure it happens to everybody during their times of competing whenever they feel like they can still compete, but different situations are always going to come across. So no matter where life takes you, Hemi, I know all of us here on All My X wish you nothing but success, the best, to be happy. If it's in Halo competing, we love to watch you. And if it's not, then go kick some ass wherever you are and whatever you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Definitely. Hami's name is
Yeah.
definitely going to be etched in the Halo history books. He's a damn
I
gold
mean, a
medalist.
gold
with the
medalist,
X game.
that's
That-
ridiculous.
I know
Yeah.
I said don't bring it up again, but that is still crazy to me. I remember it like yesterday when it happened. I'm not gonna dwell on it too long, but honestly,
Same.
one of the coolest things to witness, and what a run at that tournament. But Hemi, I wanted to also get into some of your, not exclusively to competing like with the team in Halo, but also your stream. I wanted to ask you if you kind of have plans, even say you don't compete in Infinite, do you still see yourself streaming and trying to make content and staying involved in the community in other ways? Or do you more so see your path after competing kind of just breaking completely away from esports? And we've seen that, like people that come to mind, like Roy and Lunch, right? They're always going to be loved in the community, and they come back on occasions and everyone shows them love, and then they kind of do their thing again, which is, that's awesome. That's there's plenty pros and cons and everything. But do you kind of see yourself going more that way if it were to come, or would you be involved in other ways by making content and connecting with the community?
It's kind of hard to say. I think if I was gonna be putting in time into the game, I would probably compete. I don't think I can just like be playing matchmaking and streaming and making content and putting in all that work just for me to not compete. Not to say there isn't like lucrativeness in streaming and making content, especially if Infinite really does blow up. But personally, I'm more of a competitive more than like an entertainer. So if I was playing, it'd probably be to compete.
Your gameplay is what's entertaining.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like people would watch you just even if you were playing casually, just because of skill. But
That's such a tough answer though, because like if you'd asked me after after the last Reach event, like, Clutch, do you plan on staying in Halo? My answer would have been no. I've got a job. Like, I'm in school. I'll graduate here shortly. Like, the thing, I guess, moral of the story is, Hammy, like, life is crazy. And I took a hiatus from Halo for like 3-4 years, had nothing to do with it. My Xbox was used as a Netflix player on a 16-inch TV in my living room. And that was the only time I ever touched a controller for about 3 or 4 years, and then came back. And now all of a sudden I'm working for 343. So there's a journey that's out there that you might be on. I'd say just be open to opportunity, because I know you got a lot of friends, a lot of probably family to you at this point that's in the community. We love to have you. And even if you step away, we're always going to be here for you. So.
Hey man, if 343 is hiring some more pro team members,
Intel.
I might know it, yeah.
On my X, where connections are made.
Hemi, I wanted to dive in a little bit to this tournament, like a little bit more detailed. Chat for those of you guys, not chat, viewers, everyone watching, listening on my X. If you guys didn't know, obviously, commonly played on Flyers. They got second to Cloud9, who got first. But the road they took, Flyers lost their winners bracket round 1 match in the championship bracket. So they went from losers bracket round 1 all the way to the grand finals, which is an insane run in and of itself. But in that run, they took down Pittsburgh Knights, no slouch of a team whatsoever. Sentinels, no slouch of a team whatsoever. Kansas City Pioneers, who had beaten them twice the day before and has consistently been a pain for them, and Envy. So, Hammy, my question for you is, what match was the most memorable or most rewarding for you on that crazy run to get back to the finals?
I mean, probably the Sentinels one, because we lost the first 2 games, and those are games we kind of threw away. So we should have honestly 3-0'd them. And honestly, for the whole tournament, every team kind of got worse besides Cloud9 and KCP. Like Sentinels, they lost Trippy for someone that hasn't played. Boo Boo's team, they lost Saiyan, and that's kind of, those are like pretty big shoes to fill in for anyone. Envy, Envy was still really good. But again, like Pistola hadn't been playing. He still played amazing, but actually Envy didn't really even exist. So that's just like another team that was kind of formed. In terms of the matches, they were all like really hype matches. We almost lost, game 5 against like that tapping buttons team, the Pittsburgh Knights. We had to clutch up there, and then we kind of started just getting some momentum after the Sentinel series. It felt good to finally beat KCP, considering they had our number for pretty much every time we've ever played them, and to sweep them in a 3-0 was.
You're all teammates too, right?
Yeah, Drucken and Soul Snipe. I teamed with them for the last Halo 5 tournament, and they had asked me to team a few times, like during the Pro Series, but I've always wanted to kind of do my own thing. So just to kind of say no to like teaming with them, and then to lose to them a bunch of times, it kind of sucked. So it felt good to finally have a dub against them. And then our match against Envy, I mean, those are all amazing Halo 5 players. It was really close. We took them to game 5, and it just felt good to clutch it out against them and make it to the finals.
Yeah, an amazing run. What was I know you're IGL, you're a leader. I've experienced it firsthand. What was the rallying speech like after losing that round 1 and knowing you had to go from the bottom?
Well, Envor's internet was actually like really bad for the first few rounds against Boo Boo's team. He was lagging. Yeah, he was playing on his hotspot.
Oh gosh, dude.
30,000, the biggest online Halo 5. Oh,
yeah, it was bad. He was playing on his hotspot, so we're all kind of like, bro, are you serious? Like, is this actually happening today?
Yeah.
And he was on his hotspot against the tapping button series, so his internet, I mean, it was still like bad, but it was more playable than, he was getting like 30% packet loss on his actual like Wi-Fi. Right before the Sentinels match, he said his internet was back. So we're like, okay, this is a sign. It's like, this was meant to be. We lost the first 2 games, but it was always we just need to win 1 game against like anyone. Like if we won 1 game, then we would just get the confidence and the momentum and realize, yo, we can actually like win this. And it was actually Envor that kept saying that every series. He's like, yo, guys, 1 game. We just got to win 1 game. So I actually give a lot of credit to him for, I guess, rallying the troops, if you want to call it that. We just needed to win 1 game. He was right. And just so we could prove to not only like the other team that we're a serious threat to, to try to neutralize, but to ourselves, like, yeah, we worked really hard to be in this position, and we are good enough to like beat anyone.
Absolutely, man. I mean, we've said it once and said 1,000 times. What an amazing run, for you guys to go on. I think it can't be understated enough, the difference in having someone like Ryan Noob, right? The experience of winning, knowing how to win, knowing how to mentally reset every game, no matter what a series is looking like. And I was messing talking to you about it last night when we kind of met up, Hammy. Like seeing some of the plays Ryan makes, it's like only Ryan, like literally only Ryan thinks to do that. Only Ryan has the balls to do that. Like I think about the oddball play where he thrusted past the overshield with the ball just to punch somebody with the ball in like a 2v2 overshield battle situation, and then jumping back onto the overshield after that and grabbing it. Like 10 out of 10 players drop the ball and shoot in that fight, but Ryan, being Ryan, is like, no, I'm taking this ball in here and I'm going to punch people with it. Like, that's what I'm going to do, but just awesome to see you guys finally show up and show out. And I'll let Faisal go ahead and have the floor.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask like it's a Halo related question, but it's random. Okay. And I want to know, I'm curious to know your answer on this, Hammy. What Halo, I don't know why I'm making it so dramatic. Which Halo has been which Halo is your favorite Halo of all time? That's my question.
It would probably be Halo 3. That's the Halo I grew up the most on. I played a little bit of Halo 2, but Halo 3 was really when I started to actually play Halo.
Halo 3 was your most favorite Halo? Wow, I did not know that. What? Okay, so you said you started with Halo 2, and then Halo 3 was the game you started grinding. As someone who can relate, because Halo 3, I've said multiple times, is definitely my favorite Halo. What made you fall in love with that game?
It had to have been just the competitive scene around it, like the MLG top 10s. Just Snipe Down was my favorite player back then. It was just really hype. It was personal for me because I wanted to be better than my brother. I wanted to be better than my cousins. I'm just I'm a pretty competitive person, so I just wanted to be good at something. I guess I just wanted to be good at something, and I guess thinking back on it, I think Halo 3 is my favorite Halo because when I play social, I have the most fun on Halo 3. I don't have the same amount of fun on Halo 5, even though that game is more cracked. You can do more crazy things, but at the end of the day, for me, if I want to have fun and just chill, play social, then Halo 3 is by far my favorite Halo.
I can't remember if it was Halo 3 or Halo Reach, but I remember rolling up to a local LAN out here, a Temple LAN, and there was little Hammy, dude. I'm talking scrawny little Hammy, and then you fast forward 5, 6, 7 years, and the man is winning tournaments as a top player in the game. So it was crazy to get to be a bystander to watch the come up on this scrawny little kid, man. So yeah, I love the fact that you stay true to your roots and show Halo 3 the love that you feel it deserves, and the fact that you've been able to be successful and be good at multiple styles of Halo is huge.
Yeah, and kind of I guess piggybacking off of that multiple styles of Halo thing, which Halo would you say, Hammy, did you have the hardest time transitioning to? So was it going from Halo 3 to Halo Reach to what was that for Halo Reach? Halo 4? And then Halo 4. Yeah, Halo 4, or was it Halo 4 to MCC, or to Halo 5? What was the game that you had the most difficult time kind of getting used to as Halo Infinite is coming around, and there's going to be a new game to adapt to?
I would say none. I picked up each of those games, and I never really thought, dang, I suck. I need to figure this out. It just kind of came to me naturally. Halo 3 to Halo Reach, I was still pretty young, so I didn't really understand what it meant to, actually know how to win, be good. But that's the game I got. That's the game I actually got good in. As Justin was saying, I went to a few LANs and I was 14. I didn't have a ride. I had to get my brother to drop me off. I had to leave the LANs early. It kind of sucked because I was missing out. I was going to those LANs, but I still had to my parents had no idea what was happening. They're why does my son want to go play Xbox, with random people from the internet? It's just it's kind of funny when you put it that way. But in terms of the question, I think I transitioned to every Halo well. I didn't have trouble going back to any games when we came back to Halo 3, since I already had so much hours put into it as a kid.
Yeah.
And just knowing Halo 3 is a little slower, I guess in terms of that, I had to make a quick adjustment. Okay, this game's a little slower. When you're pulling flags, sometimes you have to stop running the flag. You have to double back and slay.
Timings, yeah, all the timings.
For sure.
Yeah, so
all the internal clocks, yeah.
Exactly. They're different. They're different in every Halo. You have to time things differently. But I think I'm pretty good at knowing or kind of figuring out like, okay, this is how this game works. So hopefully I don't have a hard time picking up Infinite. I don't think I will, but we just have to see what the game looks like.
Yeah, I'm kind of Wes and Justin. I mean, we'll open it up a little bit. We can just have an open table on this. Wes, I'm curious to hear. Can you? Is that a answer? Is that a question you can answer off the top of your head? Which Halo you had the hardest time transitioning to, or kind of getting used to, or was it similar to Hammy, where everything?
I mean, I was good, man. Nah, I'm messing with you.
Is this the answer we're getting for everyone today?
No, I actually have an answer ready. But go ahead.
Felt like when Reach came out, I adapted probably pretty quicker than a lot of people. Like, especially someone like APG, who I tried to team with at the start, and he was awful. So I had to drop him and then pick him back up once he got good. So not everybody transitions like that. Maybe like, I don't know. Like, I only like hyper competed at like 2 Halos, so like 3 and then
crazy.
Reach.
Yeah,
and like, yes, Reach was completely different play style, and you had to learn about like sprint and the timings and what you could get away with, like how far you could push these limits without losing your life, and like those timings of like, if a player sprints, he's going to be here now. If he doesn't sprint, he'll be here at this point. Like, and what dynamics you have to weigh in, like all those different factors. So it's definitely, I would say Reach was harder than Halo 3 when I played a ton of Halo 2, like was basically a 50 in every playlist, like other than hardcore, and was like a 45. So it's like I played Halo 2 at a decently high level. So like transitioning from 2 to 3 was much easier than transitioning from 3 to Reach. But it's all about like grinding, because like, to me, everybody starts on day 1. Everyone started on day 1 of Reach. It was like, if you put in the time, you're gonna have a leg up on everyone that hadn't put in that time. So like, that's like the one thing I'll say, like about a game like Infinite that's on the cusp of releasing. It's all about like, everyone's going to be on the same starting point. Yes, people are going to have like strengths, like more strengths to carry over from other Halos, because they understand the dynamics of how Halo works, the arena shooter style, like all those benefits of being like a previous like pro. Like, your shot is always going to be like a transferable skill, like in any FPS. So it's all about like the learning those timings and whatnot, and getting ahead of the curve. Like, because we're 6 years into Halo 5, to where there's a lot of people, to Amy's point earlier in the show, where it's like Envor and CC have had a lot of time to master Halo 5. Can they kind of, now that they've done that in a Halo, can they get a grip on as soon as Infinite launches and almost create meta, rather than understand meta that's been created and do that? So that's a big question for every player that moves on. And it's like, sorry, I kind of went on a ramble here, but I felt like one of the pioneers of Reach's meta early on. So I feel like I had a good time transition, or I was able to put in a lot of work, and that work paid off immediately in Reach. As opposed to other Halos, I would say.
For me, like, the answer is really easy. The hardest transition for me was going from Halo 2 to Halo 3. And it wasn't because the game was hard to adapt to. It was because I loved Halo 2 so much, and I hated Halo 3 so much off the bat. It was so hard to, like, find the passion and drive to put into it. I kept playing Halo 2 for at least another 2, 3, 4 months after Halo 3 came out, because I, like, couldn't bring myself to love the game enough to do it. And I felt like that was kind of a reoccurring theme for me. I feel like early on I was able to adapt to games pretty fast. I mean, Halo 5, season 1, I was a game 5 against Liquid away from making Worlds. We were at regionals right there. And then after that, it was hard for me to maintain the passion, like maintain the love of the game to keep that going. And so I never got anywhere close to that like height again, because the grind and the the commitment has to stay consistent, and it has to be consistently at a high level for you to maintain or excel where you want to be, you know? And so going in Infinite, it's going to be huge for the folks, you know, like, yeah, grind your tails off early on and set the meta, all that, but understand that that grind has to be maintained as well, and that commitment has to be maintained, and you have to keep pushing it to new levels, keep pushing yourself to new levels. And I mean, even for me, like going back to Halo 3 for PC now in 2021, like I fell in love with the game, like in a way that I never did early on, you know, in 2007 and stuff. And because I was so in love with playing it on PC, I was able to like reach new heights as a player, things that like understand things for the first time, because I finally was like invested, committed like to the game. So yeah, man, that Halo 2 to Halo 3 the first time around, that was so brutal, bro. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll keep it short. Mine, similar to you, like going from Halo 3 to Halo Reach, I just loved Halo 3 so much. So playing Reach, the physics of the game were just so different too. Like
no
at
jump.
this point, like they're
No
sprinting and jetpacking, and your Spartan would jump lower, and the gun was clunky. It's like, dude. Oh my god! Even when I still remember when when ODST came out, and I was like it left a weird taste. I was like, I kind of don't like what's happening. I was like, all right, and then the Reach beta dropped, and I was like, oh god, dude, what is this? Like, it really. And I was I mean, Hammy. And I'm speaking of like, you know, Hammy back in the day, dude. Hammy used to be, because I'm like a day one streamer, right? Like I've been streaming on Twitch for a long time, bro. Hammy used to always be in my chat, and like I knew he was like, you know, we're both Pakistani, and like he told me he was, and he would like, you know, we kind of connected randomly on Twitch, which shout out to Twitch, has been connecting people for decades. And he used to always want to 1v1 me like in Halo 3, and we used to, and even in Halo Reach, like we'd 1v1 all the time, and I would get so pissed when he'd beat me because he was just like some street, like one of my viewers, like one of the people on my stream, and then obviously he ended up becoming like such a big champ. But yeah, Hammy, I've known of Hammy, and we've known each other for so long. I think all of us have. So it's crazy, dude. It's like, it's commonly, right? And now he's like a veteran. It's like, what the hell, this guy now commonly is a veteran? Like, it's crazy.
The ascension has been crazy.
Yeah, and honestly, I hope, sorry, Justin, but I do hope, you know, I know you said, Hammy, that you got, you know, life things coming, and that's always exciting, and it's awesome. But just as someone who knows you and who has seen you compete and competed with you and against you, I think you have, and just watching you a few days ago, man, like you have so much left in the tank. I think you're like a rare Halo player because you do everything really well. Like you have good comms, you're like level-headed, you can learn the game, you're easy to work with. I think there's a lot of things about you as a player that can work on like a lot of rosters going into Infinite. So obviously life stuff sometimes takes precedence, but just as a fan and a friend, like I really hope you continue to be in the Halo scene and compete, because you know, the Halo will be missing out if you're not there.
I appreciate that, man. And dude, those Twitch days were, that's like where I came up. I just came up by
trolling Faisal,
trolling Faisal, trolling Ninja, trolling Brave.
Dude, straight up, bro.
I would just go around, dude. Oh my God. I would go around just asking to 1v1, and it was, I mean, people used to actually do 1v1s. Like, you know, Faisal used to do 1v1s on stream. I'm like, bro, I want to play against Faisal. I want to like make him mad and, you know, destroy him. And
dude, straight rat.
Yeah, no, I was actually like a rat. I was actually like a rat. You know, I was a little disrespectful back then. Didn't really understand, you know, I wasn't the greatest like teenager, but hopefully it didn't like leave too bad of a taste in anyone's mouth. 'Cause that's something I've tried to really mature and not. And when I see like, you know, I see some of these younger players like, you know, talk trash to me in chat. Like I never like. Sometimes it annoys me, but it's like, you know, I was literally the same person. They don't know any
better. Yeah, they don't know any
they don't know any
better.
better.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, you know, I try not to, you know, give it too much attention, but it's crazy how life has turned out for like all of us, you know, just And Halo Reach was like 10 years ago. It's
Life is a journey, and it's like, you know, as human beings, we're never stagnant. We're always heading in a direction, and you've obviously headed in a good direction. I kind of have a funny question for you, a fun one. I got the pleasure to team with you for quite a while now. You know, me, you, Straight Sick, Alumni. We had fun with the H3 MCC stuff. There's something super specific about your game that I noticed from watching you play, watching you stream here and there, that I literally stole, and I was like, I have to make this a part of my game because it is so valuable. I don't even know if you know that you're doing this, but I'm curious if you can guess what it is that I took from Commonly specifically.
That's a tough question. I would maybe say the being more patient with your gameplay. I don't know.
It factors into patience, but here's the thing. Okay, so and I'm really curious as to whether or not you're intentional about this in game or not. If this is something that is constantly being processed in your mind, because for me, it kind of is, because like I said, it's something I literally just robbed from you. But I noticed when you're moving around the map, it's super interesting. It seems like every object that you come across, whether it be a wall, a ramp, a box, it doesn't matter what it is. It's like at any moment, if a battle starts, you're in a spot where you're ready to use whatever is nearest to you. And you do it like unlike anybody I've ever seen in my life. It's like you were just walking past this lip, but as soon as the fight starts, boom, you're there and you're using that. You're crouching behind that. You're strafing behind that. The wall, same thing, or like a head glitch. Like, is that something that you is that something that's always been there for you? Is that something that you adapted? How did you end up, like, it's unlike anything I've seen.
Honestly, no, I didn't know that I was doing that. Maybe it factors in that I'm just trying to take the best angles I can to angle myself away from people, or just using the geometry to my advantage. I don't know if I'm consciously doing that at this point. It might just be something that I do subconsciously, just because I'm, comfortable with the movement. I don't have to think about where I'm going. I just know what my goal is on the map, and I just use like whatever geometry or wall or whatever is available to me.
Just ingrained. Like, it was hilarious because I was mentioning on the broadcast over the weekend. There was like a moment in the Fisher Ball where it was on your screen or something, and you were coming out from the overshield, no shields, and the guy like came around the doorway, like to under the base, and it was like you were crouching in front of him. You jumped on the ledge next to it. You jumped over the doorway, like to use the doorway to avoid shots. You were on the other ledge, and I was just like, man, this kid, like, it's something special about it. But anyways, yeah, let's get ready to wrap this thing up, though. I know we've been holding you up for an hour. Go ahead, Faisal.
Yeah, I just wanted to just as a shout out to everyone that we worked with on the show, the broadcast. I want to give a shout out to obviously Wes and Justin for commentating with you guys, and Shyway, Active, Why Not, Tools, Nighty, Louis V, Snow, their whole team, and obviously Sentinels, HCS. For kind of doing stuff like this for the community. Now with E3, coming up any day, I'm super excited to hopefully get some, gameplay or whatever we're going to get. I'm hoping they, announce any news for a beta. Like, how sick would that be? Something to look forward to. Obviously, we got somebody that works at the game here, so we got to be careful with what we talk about, whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to, all the talent and the people that went behind the show for the tournament.
Yeah, and with that being said, I think, Wes, unless you have any final closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts? Hammy?
Closing thoughts.
Appreciate you coming on board. I know you said you've been wanting to do this for a couple months, and unfortunately, we didn't have you on before, but it felt like some pretty damn good timing after this past weekend and the performance you and the boys put on. Thank you for creating a nice storyline over the weekend, making this tournament one of the memorable ones over the past year throughout these online experiences. Appreciate your hard work as always. You've been crushing it in game. Hope to continue to see that, but if not, it's always been a pleasure to watch you play, brother. And thank you for taking the time out of your day to come join us here.
Of course. Thank you guys again. And do you guys mind if I give out a few shout outs?
Of course, man.
We don't got time for that.
The floor is yours, man. Go for it, brother.
Okay, first of all, shout out to Super CC and Envor. They've been working really hard, and I've been kind of hard on them sometimes when we go through film and stuff, and they always stuck through it and got really good. Shout out to our coach Callis. He's been someone that I've been working with for like almost 3 years now. So his knowledge of the game is actually really underrated, and I hope with Infinite, his own personal like YouTube channel, Twitter, whatever he decides to, try to expand on. I really hope the community sees the value in it, because he really is just as smart as, the smartest player you can think of. I really think he's up there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Shout out to him. Of course, I gotta give a shout out to Rhinoop, for playing with us, for hitting us up and playing. I gotta give a shout out to Skeptify, because even though we didn't end up playing with him, we did end up growing with him as as a squad. So shout out to him, and shout out to they're probably not gonna watch this, but shout out to my family, my parents for everything that they do. Shout out to my girlfriend Eva, she's amazing, and shout out to everyone that supports me in my journey. Shout out to you guys for the words that the words that you said today. It means a lot coming from you guys. You guys are pretty much staples in the community. A lot of respect for you guys. And yeah, I appreciate all of you.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man. Yeah, thank you for coming on, man. We're going to have all of Hammy's info in the description for you guys that are watching, listening. Be sure to follow him on the socials, follow his stream, sub to his channel, join. What do you call your subs?
The deli, bro. Come on, bro.
Join the
deli right
people.
now.
The people, like, what do you call the people in the deli? What do you call the folks in the...
I'm in a rebranding crisis. I don't know what to call them anymore.
Oh, God.
Sub to his channel, watch his stream, follow his stream. And that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for us here on My X episode number 45. Sub to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon to be notified. We have a new episode is live. Comment a topic you want us to cover, and you may see it on the show. All right. We love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great week.